pretty sure that the audio is good this time. I noticed yesterday it was kind of messed up, but it's late, I know, but it's time to continue with the review of Season 2 of The Boys. Episode 5 this time. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
Busy day, and honestly it's kind of late, so I'm gonna probably hurry this one up. I can't be, it's really actually super late for me. I have to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow, and it's what, like 10:30, so whoops. I'll try to keep it short. I won't be as long as I usually am, but before I get into it, any quick reminder that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. Also live streaming, I'm trying to do it every day, Monday through Friday. You can find me at Dario the Show, at Super Dario World on Twitch and YouTube, live streaming there. Subscribe, like all the videos there. It really helps me out, and I really appreciate it. So that's out of the way. Let's get into the review of The Boys, and I'm gonna be doing the good, the bad, and the boys again. For those of you who've never been or who've never joined me, the good, the bad, and the boys is the segment I do at the end, where I break down the things that I liked from the episode, the things that I didn't like, and I'll give you a fun fact about the show, the characters, whatever I want that's related to this episode. So let's begin. This episode's episode 5, and as always, let's begin with introduction of the new character. So let's blow this up a little bit here, and here we go. Beginning with Helena. Elena, now she's a character that she's appeared before, and I've mentioned her a couple times. She's the girlfriend of the superhero Queen Mauve. This episode, she has a little bit more. Well, she actually looks like she's going to be involved in the story a little bit more. So I added her before. I thought she wasn't really going to be that relevant. So there you go. Now you know who she is. Now you can put a face to the name. Next, we were introduced to Alastair Adana. Now, this is a character that we still have no idea what he's going to do yet. He's the leader of the Church of the Collective. He's the first chair. He really doesn't do much, but they've been hinting at him the whole season, and now we've actually seen him. So I'm assuming that he will be doing something eventually, so might as well introduce him now. So there you go, Alastair Adana. Next, we have a character that honestly I thought was just going to be a one and done, but he's kind of relevant in this episode. Well, not relevant, but he's around a lot, and this is Adam Burke. He's the director. In this episode, they're directing a movie. Well, they're making a movie, and he's the director of it, so he appears a lot. So there you go. When I'm talking about the director, now you know who I'm talking about. Next, we have the return of Starlight's mom. She actually does have a name, but honestly, just Starlight's mom. I don't know how relevant she's going to be after this episode, but she's one of the main character's mom, so I guess, just so you, again, putting a face to the name, or so you know who they're talking about. Next is a character that's actually appeared, I think, every single episode, but I hadn't introduced her yet. We've got Congresswoman Victoria Newman. Now, like I said, I think she has appeared on every single episode. However, she hadn't interacted with any of the main characters so far, and that's why I hadn't really introduced her. She just appeared on the news and stuff, like as a congresswoman. This is her first time actually interacting with one of the main characters, so there you go. Now, I'm assuming that she may have a bigger role. And finally, this character, I don't think she's going to have a role after this episode, but you never know. This is Aunt Lois. She is Billy Butcher's, I was going to say Bill the Butcher, completely different character. Billy Butcher's aunt. So there you go. Those are the new characters, and now we can move on to the summary. So let me just fix this up a little bit here. There you go. All right, so let's begin with the story of the Seven. So I'm going to break it down, and we're going to begin with the Seven and their adventures on this episode. So the episode begins with kind of a Queen Mauve coming out in a way in the while they're shooting the new movie, The Dawn of the Seven, and it's kind of like they're trying to create the scene where Queen Mauve comes out as gay, because on the previous episode she got outed by Homelander, and so she's kind of upset by it, and she goes talk to Homelander. He's like, all right, when is this gonna end? Well, how long are you gonna keep doing this? How long are you gonna keep torturing me? And Homelander's like, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. So that's actually a fun interaction, because you don't know if he's doing it to torture her or if he actually tried to help, and then since she's being a dick to him, he's being a dick back. So it's funny. It's weird. You don't even know if he actually considers her a friend or if he's just doing it because he's upset because he considers her a friend. So that dynamic is very interesting. And Homelander then gets visited by Ashley, who is basically the new Madeline Albright, the new, let's say, not her boss, but who should be his boss. There you go. And she gives a Homelander a bit of bad news. And the bad news is that a video has leaked of him killing a terrorist, but accidentally fucking up and also killing a citizen in, it looks like a country in somewhere in Africa. And so he accidentally killed somebody else, and the video got leaked on the internet. And so he's like, he's trying to laugh it off, and he's like, oh, fuck, well, these people, they can't even afford food, and they got cell phone cameras, fuck. And that's when Ashley gives him the news that his popularity dropped 9.5 points. Now, for those of you who don't understand what that means, basically, let's say it's percentage talk. So let's say if you are 100% popular and you drop 9.5 points, that means that you drop to 90.5% popularity. And so apparently I don't know why they do it that way. I don't know why they wouldn't just say 9.5 percentage points, but I guess they just skip the percentage. Anyway, point is, Homelander does not like this at all, and he wants to, and he realized that people are protesting him, and they're calling him a war criminal over it. And so he wants to take matters into his own hands and just go out and make a press conference. Ashley immediately is like, no, let our crisis team handle this. You don't know what you're doing. Just please, for the moment, don't do anything. Just don't do nothing. Stay here. Keep doing the movie. Just stay out of the spotlight. We need to. Your response right now is no comment. We need to deal with this. The crisis team will deal with this. All right. And Homelander is like, maybe I will, maybe I don't. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Anyway, this is where Stormfront kind of tries to insert herself in the conversation. Again, offers Homelander help, with her super meme powers, and Homelander's like, "Fuck you, I don't need your help," and leaves. So this then leads to Starlight and Stormfront. They're shooting a scene together, and they have a conversation in which Stormfront is like, "Why are you looking at me so much? It's weird." And if you guys remember in the previous episode, we discovered that Starlight discovered that Stormfront is not actually, well, she's Stormfront, but she used to be Lady Liberty, and she used to be like, well, allegedly she murdered a young African American man because she's racist. Anyway, so let's just say she's not happy of being around her, but she needs to discover evidence, and so she's been eyeing her, and Stormfront noticed. Then we got A-Train, who's speaking with the director, and the previous episode, A-Train is basically, he's out. He's been fired. But they're giving him an out in the movie, and he's going to get a scene where he gets to say goodbye to the fans and all that stuff. But he rewrote the scene for the director. He's like, you know what? I feel like this is too on the nose. We should be, kind of like vague with what happens to me and my character. And the director is basically like, yeah, fuck no. And yeah, there you go. He's giving him the rewrites. And the director's like, you know what? Interesting idea, but let's just shoot what we have right now, and we'll think about it later. And A-Train sticks to his gun. He's like, I'm not doing the fucking scene. And then the director gets like the greatest reaction ever, because anybody who's ever worked with an actor knows this feeling, and that's fuck. that look when you're like, motherfucker, like son of a, like I hate dealing with these fucking people. So he manages to swallow all that rage, and he basically tells him, you know what? This is above my pay grade. I'm just here to shoot a movie. Go argue with Ashley. Go argue with Homelander. In the meantime, let's just shoot our scene. And so he walks away from that conversation. Then Starlight kind of gets freaked out because she notices that Stormfront is having a conversation with her mother. And so she immediately goes there and is like, Mom, what are you doing here? I'm still mad at you. And she's like, but I thought you'd forgiven me already because, I'm your mom. And the conversation then leads to her to confound B, because allegedly it's been discovered, or it's been assumed that parents had to agree to take money from VOTs to give their kids a compound V and all that stuff. And that's when Stormfront inserts herself on this conversation as well, and basically says, whoever, well, I'm not going to say exactly what she says, but she alludes to the fact that she hints at the possibility that Starlight is the one who leaked out the information about Compound B. And it's not exactly on the nose, but she alludes to it in a way that makes you suspect that all right, Stormfront knows a little bit more than she's letting on. Anyway, then we got the creative brain power here. They're the crew. They're not creatives. I'm not even sure what they are, but they're trying to pitch Queen Mauve on her new persona, and because again she's gay now, and well she's openly gay now, and so they're trying to pitch her on who her character is going to be, what she's going to look like, and they also brought Elena. I'm sorry, it's Elena into the mix, and Elena's like, "Why the fuck am I here? Like seriously, what the fuck am I here?" And they show them how they want them to look. Like Queen Mauve's still going to be like the warrior, but they want to completely alter Elena's look. And Elena's like, "Why the fuck am I wearing a pantsuit? That's not me. I'm getting the fuck out of here." And that's actually kind of interesting because looking back on that, the argument they have there is that they don't. The research has shown that two girly lesbians together are not a good. They're not a good image. So they want Elena to look a little bit more masculine. That's actually interesting. A lesbian friend told me this once, and the term I believe is called lipstick lesbian. When you're a girly lesbian, that's what they refer. They refer to you as a lipstick lesbian, and two lipstick lesbians together are frowned upon in the lesbian community. Why? I don't know, but that's what she said, and that's why that's why she mentioned that she liked to wear like a little bit more boyish clothes. She dressed kind of like a skater. And that's because she liked girly girls, but she was really pretty, and she wanted to be really girly, but she always said that it's kind of frowned upon in our community. And I was like, that's okay, that's kind of weird, but all right, fun fact, there you go, in case anybody cared, a little bit of knowledge, a new term for you. Anyway, so Elena is like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I don't want to get paid for this because I don't want to get paid to be in a relationship. I'm out. I don't want a relationship to be out in the open in public. That's weird. So Queen Mauve chases after her, and basically Elena's like, give me one good reason why I should put up with this shit. I'm getting out of town. I'm gonna go stay with my parents. I'm gonna use my vacation time. This is stupid. And Queen Mauve basically lets her know, like, hey, this is all Homelander. If you leave, I can't protect you. He might kill you. So stay here and be the reason why, and be the thing that he's torturing me with, or I can't protect you anymore. And so this is when it finally hits Elena, like, oh shit, I'm in deep shit here. Like this isn't just a fun little relationship anymore. I'm actually in a very dangerous situation here. And so Queen Mauve promises, you know what, I'll find a way to get us out of it. And they hug and they feel better. But this is very interesting. Queen Mauve is going to an extreme for something that yet it hasn't manifested yet. Now, it might be the fact that she knows Homelander so well, but, I mean, if this is Homelander torturing her forcing to... what Homelander did is, like, basically, you're a lesbian. I'm going to tell the world you're a lesbian, and I'm going to free you from the secret, from the fear, and all that stuff. And you're going to be in an open relationship with a woman that you love. Like, if that's torture from Homelander... then I think she's getting off kind of easy. Like I don't see much wrong with this. I get it, it's not cool, the whole outing her thing, but he did in a way set her free. So again, I'm not sure if this is all in Maude's head or if it's because she knows that he's really fucked up in the head and this might be part of a bigger plan. I don't know, but I like the way that this is being played out, because it might be just that she's going paranoid, or that she's always been paranoid. Anyway, moving on. We got A-Train, who's he's watching a commercial for the Church of the Collective, and I'll get into that in a minute because it has to do with the character that I just introduced. And we have probably the best acted scene in this episode, because Stormfront shows up and starts talking to A-Train about the Church of the Collective. Now, if you guys did not pay attention to a few minutes ago when I said this, Stormfront is right now suspected to be a racist killer. So, and by that, I don't mean that she kills racists. I mean she kills people for racist reasons. Anyway, and for those of you who are listening to this and have never seen the show, A-Train is black. So, so there you go. So Stormfront shows up and they start having a conversation, and the undertones of the conversation are great, because she is kind of insulting A-Train with a smile, and A-Train is getting a very weird vibe, but he's not exactly sure why. It's a great conversation. I loved it. The undertones, how they're having a conversation without having a conversation, and Stormfront is just the most unlikable bitch ever because she's smiling like, no, I'm not saying anything. What do you mean? Like, she's playing dumb in a very hateable way, but it's her. She actively wants to piss him off. She actively wants him to know that she thinks that he's garbage, but she's not saying it, and so he cannot properly react to it. It's a great conversation. It was really well written, really well acted. I love this scene. And again, it makes Stormfront so much more hateable and at the same time so much more likable because the actress's performance is really good here. Anyway, as A-Train starts getting more and more upset and is trying to figure out what the fuck is this bitch? I don't even know her. She's the new girl here. And Ashley comes in to kind of interrupt the whole thing, and so they start having a conversation where A-Train is like, "I'm not doing the fucking scene. I'm not doing it. If you're gonna get rid of me, I'm not going out that way." And so Ashley lays down the law, and she says basically, "All right, fine. You can go out with dignity in the movie, and you'll get your severance pay and all that stuff, and you won't get thrown, and your name won't be like be stamped upon by the press, or." You can fight us on this, and then we'll say that we're firing you because you OD'd on Compound V, and you'll lose your severance package and you'll lose everything. And so A-Train immediately like, you know what? I'm gonna play ball. So he folds like a house of fucking cards, and he goes out and does his final scene with Homelander's stunt double. Anyway, well, not stunt double, but his scene double. Anyway, because Homelander can't be bothered to be there anymore. Next, we have the protest for Homelander, and this is where we meet the Congresswoman, where she's telling everybody like, hey, finally for the first time, we have something we can use against Vought. We have something I have to use against Homelander. We're gonna start some hearings, and it's all because of you, and it's all because of your support, blah blah. And the people are really excited, and all of a sudden Homelander shows up. And again, this is a great moment because it's one of those things where you're talking shit about somebody, and that somebody just shows up and you don't expect it, and everybody's reaction is like, oh shit, because you weren't just talking shit about somebody, you were talking shit about basically a god. So I don't know, I guess this would be the equivalent of maybe, I don't know, talking shit about Stalin, and then Stalin walking into the room with his Red Army, and you're like, or, maybe if you want to bring it closer to home, a mob boss. And then all of a sudden, yeah, like, fuck those guys. Yeah, fuck, they're a bunch of pussies, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, they just walk in the room, and you're like, I was kidding. Anyway, so Homelander's, he takes the mic from the Congresswoman, and she starts trying to talk to the crowd and tell them, like, hey, guys, you know me. I'm cool. Shit happens sometimes. And, that kind of starts taking a turn on him because, when you say shit happens, people are like, this has happened before and it's been covered up. And he tries walking it back. He tries to get the people back, and he tries to, to be like, no, you don't understand what it's like to be out there serving with the brave women of the armed forces. And basically one army dude is like, you don't speak for us. And he flips him off. And so here's where Homelander kind of starts losing his shit because everybody's yelling at him. Everybody's angry, and he starts getting really angry and in return. And so he loses it and starts shooting his laser eyes out in the crowd. And I mean out there everywhere. Just starts shooting it in a straight line and zoom, wiping everybody out. And so it's a bloody fucking massacre. And then eventually we figure out this is actually everything happening just in his head. So he's just imagining this. He's imagining like getting so angry, and he just boom, he makes the problem disappear. And so it's basically they're telling us that he's kind of at a breaking point. Like Homelander is reaching a breaking point. And his breaking point is a thing to behold. It is a massacre. So Homelander immediately is like, hey, you guys, you know what? You're the real heroes. And he backs the fuck out of there, and then he breaks down and starts crying because apparently he's just a little kid who wants love, but when he doesn't get it, he lashes out, and when he lashes out, it's a terrible thing, and those people have no idea how close they came to death. they were like, the only reason they're alive is because he cares, still cares about his image. He still cares about the people who quote unquote love him. But he's let's just say thin ice, you know, like a man who's about to break. Anyway, next we have Stormfront, who's having a phone conversation with a character we've never seen before. It's that guy, and they're having a conversation about a 17-year-old. The dude looks like a doctor, or he's wearing like a medical gown and stuff like that. Within a scrubs, I'm sorry, it's called scrubs. And they're talking. They have a conversation about a 17-year-old and how he's look at it as the 17-year-old being a hero. I don't know much about that. They haven't told us anything. And so they end that conversation, and Homelander stops to visit Stormfront. He takes her up on the offer of helping out the memes. So she starts paying her dudes to make memes of Homelander that prove that he's, you know, like the cool dude. The memes are terrible. Like the memes of the previous episode were terrible. This episode, still terrible. Anyway, and Homelander's like, all right, let's see what happens. By the way, here's a fun fact. A study has been done, and like, I don't remember the exact number, but a high percentage of people get most of their news from memes. And I know it's very concerning, but a high percentage of people get all of their news from memes, which is scary to think about. But it also shows you like this. I mean, the memes are terrible, but the strategy isn't. Like it's a legit strategy. It's just, you know, they need better memes. They need better meme lords. Anyway, moving on. Starlight then decides to sneak into Stormfront's, you know, like what do you call camper while she's out making a scene, and she hacks her computer, and in her computer she finds all these emails that say Sage Grove. What is that? I don't know, but I'm assuming it has to do with the dude that she was having a conversation with, on the previous scene. Stormfront then shows up, and Starlight's there pretending that she's upset because she was having a conversation with her mother behind her back. He's like, "Don't talk to my mother," blah blah blah. And Stormfront's basically like, "Bravo, great performance. You're full of shit. I know that you're the one who released the Compound V, so you can't bring that shit over here." And Starlight is like, "What do you?" And she again, and Starlight like, "How dare you betray your people?" And Starlight, "You mean fucking white people?" And she's like, "Superheroes." And so that's very racist of you, Starlight. Why would you say that? And so Starlight gets pissed, and fortunately, well, we don't know if fortunately or unfortunately, but the conversation gets cut short because Homelander shows up. And Homelander kind of like pushed the shish kebab in the whole thing. And so Starlight gets the fuck out of there because she realizes that she's massively overpowered. And Homelander stays there talking to Stormfront, basically telling her like, "Hey, guess what? I'm up on the polls. I'm up by 5 points." So he's very happy about that. And Stormfront is like, "Well, how?" And he thanks Stormfront for her help. And Stormfront is like, "How are you going to repay me?" And so they start hooking up and they start having sex. And so this is one of the more bizarre scenes I've seen in film as far as sex scenes out there. But before we get into the particulars of the sex scene, we need to learn one thing about Stormfront. Stormfront gets lasered in the boobs by Homelander. Like, she asks Homelander to laser her in the tits. Now, Homelander is concerned because he thinks this would cut her in half, but apparently no. She can take it, and not only can she take it, she actually kind of likes it. So apparently Stormfront is way more powerful than we were led to believe before. So that's actually pretty interesting. And then, you know, we're led to the very, very, very bizarre sex scene where they destroy her apartment, and there you go. That's one of those things you'll never be able to unsee. And trust me, I'm not showing you anything more because, well, you know what? If you want to see it, see it. It's something. I'll give you that. It's something. It was different. Anyway, let's move on to the story of the boys. So Billy Butcher not having a good time. His wife basically just rejected him, and so since he's feeling bad on the inside, he wants to feel bad on the outside. So he got drunk, or he had a few drinks, and he went to like a heavy metal concert or like an underground thing, and he got into a fight with a random stranger. And so naturally they beat him up because random stranger had a whole bunch of friends, and so now he kind of feels better because he's all beat up. And so then he gets a call from Huey, and Huey's basically trying to give Billy Butcher an update on this whole situation about Lady Liberty actually being storefront and all that stuff. And Billy Butcher starts being really nice to Huey. He's saying like, hey, yeah, I know you're always my canary and all that stuff, blah, blah, and that you'll never see each other again. And while he's doing that, he's looking through some really weird like stuffed animals. And Huey's like, that was a very bizarre conversation. I don't understand. So he goes and talks to Mother's Milk. And Mother's Milk is like, what? Whoa, why was the conversation weird? And he was like, he was nice to me. I don't understand. And Mother's Milk is like, tell me exactly what he said now. Because this is clearly a red flag. Billy Butcher is not nice to anybody. So then here's where we're introduced to Aunt Lois. And it turns out that Billy Butcher went to visit Aunt Lois because Aunt Lois is basically taking care of his dog. So he went there to visit her and to visit the dog. We also learned a lot about Billy Butcher's family. We learned that him and his parents aren't really in speaking terms, and it's because of his dad. His dad has cancer, and for some reason, Billy Butcher wants his dad to die. We don't really know why, but I mean, we can assume. And because he said it's not killing him fast enough, so there you go. So Billy Butcher gets his dog Terror, and they go out for a walk, and he opens up to the dog, and he's like, yeah, well, Becca, she doesn't want to be with me anymore, but I guess you still love me, and blah, blah, blah. So he's basically, pouring his heart out to his canine best friend. Then he returns from the walk, and he discovers that Huey and Mother's Milk are there. Mother's Milk figured out that that's where he was going to be because Huey told him that he heard like a dog toy, and he's like, oh, well, he was probably going to go for his dog. Basically, they have a conversation where Billy's like, get the fuck out, and they're like, where's Becca? And the aunt's like, what do you mean, Becca? I thought Becca was dead. And they're like, no, where is she? And basically, Billy confesses like, fuck you, Becca left, blah, blah, and I don't need any of you guys, and I'm going to do my own thing and get the fuck out. And so he leaves. Now, as he's about to leave, he gets in his car, he looks in the rearview mirror, and holy shit, who the fuck is that? In his rearview mirror, hiding in the roof of a house, he sees Black Noir. So he's like, holy shit. So immediately, as soon as he gets in the car and sees that, he gets out of the car and walks right back in the house, and he's like, oh shit, we're in fucking trouble. Black Noir has either followed you or followed me, but we're in deep fucking shit. All right? So, this lets for them they call a gas leak, which would make the firemen and police officers show up in the area, and give them a little bit of time while they develop the plan. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to cut a lot of the things that happen on this particular, because basically they're just bickering among each other, or they're building things, setting up booby traps, but nothing of real substance. Basically, in a nutshell, Bill Butcher's like, I'll sacrifice myself, and everybody's like, fuck you, you're one of the boys. Now start acting like it, and that's pretty much it. So they go into the basement. They're hiding there. They're waiting to see if any of the booby traps work. While they're down there in the basement, Huey asks Aunt Lois about somebody. Oh, I forgot to mention this. Aunt Lois thinks that Huey looks exactly like Billy Butcher's brother, Lenny. Now, Lenny is a character that we don't... And so Huey asks her, like, hey, tell me about Lenny. Turns out that Billy Butcher, protective older brother, and Lenny died when he was young, but apparently Lenny was the only person who could calm Billy down and stuff like that. So... that's who Lenny was, and now it looks like Huey is a stand-in for his younger brother, and it could explain why Butcher has sort of a soft spot for Huey, and why he's his canary. Anyway, that's when Black Noir shows up, blows every single booby trap they have. It's still not enough. The dude still keeps coming, and so Billy Butcher's like, everybody leave, I'll stay behind. Again, that was stupid, doesn't really happen, but they start having a fight, and pretty much the fight's actually decent, I guess. But Black Noir pretty much kicks everybody's ass because the dude's like, he's like a fucking Terminator, basically. Or at least that's the closest thing that I come to describe him anything. He's the fucking Terminator. So Billy Butcher, as he sees that Black Noir is about to kill Huey, he comes to a decision. He gets up and he says, "Oi, cunt!" And he starts telling him like, "Hey, if you touch a hair of anybody's head here, you're gonna lose your job. You're gonna lose your career." And he starts saying, and he starts in a way bluffing. He says, "I have pictures of Homelander's son, and I know that your company has been trying to keep him secret for a very long time, and I don't think anybody goes out of their way so much to keep somebody secret unless they actually want to keep something secret. And so if anything happens to us, I'm gonna release all those pictures. And so naturally, Black Noir, the great negotiator that he is, his response is choking the fuck out of Billy Butcher. And so as Billy Butcher's trying to grasp for life, Black Noir's phone starts to ring. So he puts the phone up to his ear, and then he puts the phone up to Billy Butcher's ear. And here's where we learn something very interesting. Turns out that Black Noir has a camera on his suit, and that camera has a link directly to a tablet that is basically controlled by Mr. Edgar. So Mr. Edgar gets to see pretty much exactly what Black Noir is seeing, which is creepy as fuck. And honestly, this took me for a loop because I expected when Black Noir, well, we saw Black Noir crying when he found out about the Compound B. Or maybe he was laughing. I don't know. It's really hard because the dude's always wearing a mask. And he really doesn't make much noise. So I thought he was crying. I think he was. And then he was really, in the previous episode, he really wanted to find Billy Butcher. I thought that they were going to do the classic trope of he wants to find Billy Butcher because he wants to join him for vengeance, right? That's usually the trope. That's how it goes. And I did not see this one coming, to be honest. I did not see this coming. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, Mr. Edgar gives Billy Butcher a choice, and basically it's like, hey, either you, it's like, here's the deal. Black Noir won't kill you if you delete those images and they never see the light of day. Billy Butcher immediately says yes, and so Black Noir gets the fuck out of there. So then Huey and Billy Butcher have a conversation. It's like, were you bluffing? And he's like, no, totally not. Maybe. Anyway, it was anticlimactic. It was an interesting reveal, but kind of anticlimactic. Anyway, then let's move on to the story of Kimiko and Frenchie. So Kimiko's walking down the street for some reason, and Frenchie's he's telling her why. It's unclear why they're not walking together, and this takes up kind of it takes place kind of early on in the episode. But anyway, Frenchie's chasing Kimiko down the street. Then Kimiko walks into a bar where there's like three people who appear to be mobsters, who appear to be Eastern European mobsters. Anyway, dude basically tells Kimiko to get the fuck out unless, she's there to do something naughty. And Kimiko proceeds to rip his fucking face out. in maybe the greatest fatality of this show yet. Rips his fucking face out, and then she kills the other two dudes. One, I believe he kills them like normally, and the other guy, she basically hits him in the head with his own gun, and basically that kind of makes the gun like stab his own face. It's really fucked up, but it's really fun to watch. And so Frenchie walks in, and he's like, "What the fuck happened here? This is crazy. What is happening here?" And so yeah, there you go. You see the gun just sticking out of the dude's face. Kind of fucked up. Anyway, so he continues telling her, and she ends up walking into a church, and here she meets with Cherie. Cherie, who we met on the previous episode and who is a friend of Frenchie. And so Frenchie discovers this. Cherie gives Kimiko money. Frenchie walks in, discovers this, and he's like, "Sacre bleu, what are you doing? Why are you two together? I don't understand." And then he's like, "Oh, you are making her, you're making her do murders for money." And he basically tries to convince her that Kimiko, this is not good. You do not want to kill people for money. You do not want to go down this path. And Kimiko's like, "Get the fuck off of me!" And she starts ranting, or I guess would be yelling, in sign language, which is it's a sign language that nobody really understands except her and her brother. But basically, what she says is because subtitles, she says that she's in pain, that she caused her brother's death, blah blah, and she doesn't deserve anything, and she's angry. And Franchie's natural reaction is, "I don't understand what the fuck you're saying. I don't understand because you don't teach me your stupid fucking language." And so Frenchie basically is like, "You know what? Fuck you. Fuck this. I don't need it." And he walks the fuck away, and he leaves. And he's like, "You want to be a monster? Be a fucking monster." And so he leaves. and which is honestly good for Frenchie. And this is, side note, another fun fact, I guess, in a way, or a very valuable lesson to people. This is actually a hard lesson to learn in life. Hopefully you can learn it now, and you won't have to learn it the hard way, because most people have to learn it the hard way. You cannot save somebody who does not want to be saved. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter how hard you try. If somebody does not want to be saved, you will not be able to save them. That's what Frenchie learned in that particular moment, and that's why he walked away. Good on him. There you go. You just learned this lesson. Hopefully you didn't have to learn it before, and hopefully we saved you a lot of time and heartache. Anyway, moving on. Then we got the story of, we're continuing the story of the Deep and his marriage. So the Deep got married to this girl who's, honestly, I don't even remember her name. I should have probably introduced her, but she's forgettable, I guess. But they're interviewing her, and they're like the happy couple. And then Katie Couric is actually the one who's doing the interview, and they asked them the hard question because the Deep has this whole sex scandal. And here's where you understand why they picked this particular girl. And this girl's basically she's basically meat shield. She's like, no, I understand that he did wrong in the past, but people can change, and I believe in him, and I believe in love, and we're really happy together, and blah blah blah. So that's why they picked this particular girl, and now it makes a little bit more sense. Anyway, moving on. Then we see the Deep in a commercial for the Church of the Ascendant. And I personally love this commercial because they're making fun straight out of a Gillette commercial that came out, I believe it was either earlier this year or last year. You guys remember the Gillette commercial that almost cost Gillette most of their customers? It was a super woke commercial about men being men, but it was like standing up for stuff, and it was a very cringy commercial, and everybody hated it, and it cost Gillette a buttload of money. And it was one of the things that started the whole "go woke, go broke" thing. Or I don't know if it was if it started, but it continued it for sure. And there's actually an actual moment where in this ad, the Deep quotes that commercial. Is like, dude, not cool. It's great. I love how they don't give a fuck about certain things. Anyway, so and here's where we meet Alistair Adana, the chairman of the Church of the Collective, and again, he doesn't really do much other than appear in this commercial, but they've slowly been inserting him into the story. I'm guessing that he's going to be a bigger part of it pretty soon. Anyway, then we get to see the Deep. He's helping out the homeless by giving them books of the Church of the Collective. I called it the Church of the Ascendant, but no, it's Church of the Collective. And as he's giving out these books, because he's giving them food, the homeless people food for their souls, Queen Mauve shows up. And Queen Mauve's basically like, don't fucking touch me, you're a piece of shit. But here's the deal. If you want to get back on the 7, you're going to need somebody to vouch for you who's a woman, and I'm a woman who can vouch for you, but I need your help to get rid of Homelander. So, we've got the what appears to be, or the potentially could be, the beginnings of a coup within the 7. I don't know, but it's fun. I'm actually starting to enjoy that. I did not see that coming. But, all right, that was the summary. Let's move on to The Good, the Bad, and the Boys.
That was diabolical!
So, The Good, the Bad, and the Boys, I explained it earlier, but I'll explain it again, is where I break down the things that I liked from the episode, the things that I didn't like from the episode so much, and then I'll give you a fun fact about the story, the characters, or some element from the story that I find interesting. Just a random fun fact. So let's begin here with The Good. Let me get this thing bigger here. There you go. So The Good. This is the first episode, and I mean the first episode of this season where Homelander does not drink any milk, or doesn't have anything to do with milk and his mouth. It is important story-wise, thematically-wise, is very important, because every single other episode he had this whole thing with Madeleine Albright. You know, the Elizabeth Shue, that character, his mommy stand-in that was very weird. Every single other episode he had something with milk, and on the previous episode he killed the last remaining link that he had to Madeline Stillwell. And so this is kind of like a sign that for the first time he did not look for his mommy. He did not look for something else. So it was like him trying to be a big boy. and having sex with a girl and stuff like that. But I find that thematically, I really enjoy when they do stuff like that. Sometimes it's the little things that make that make a show great, and thematically, it shows that they're paying attention even to the little things, the little details. Then, well, another thing that I liked is the goriest scene in the fucking show. Well, it's maybe not the goriest scene, but this is probably my favorite fatality of the show so far. Ripping off the dude's face. I love it because I didn't see it coming. I did not see it coming. It looked gory as fuck. It looked like, oh my god, like you could actually. It looked very disturbing. The effects are great. The makeup's great. The acting of her when she did it is really good. So I really enjoyed it. I enjoy a good fatality, especially when I don't see it coming. So there you go. Next we have the breakdown scene from Homelander, where he just starts lasering people left and right, turning them into, I don't know, fucking ceviche. And so and his breakdown. I like that this is telling us that this is a man on the brink. This is a man who is on the edge of a mental breakdown. And so what does every man who when he's on the edge of a mental breakdown, what is the best thing they can do? Start making decisions with their fucking dick. So him hooking up with Stormfront, when he's on the edge, is going to have probably very dramatic consequences and very fun ones. So I'm excited to what could happen there. Also, again, the sex scene was really weird, but in a way, it's like, all right, it's different. I'll give you that. It was different. It was enjoyable to watch. Next, I talked about this earlier, but the director's reaction was awesome. Anybody who's worked in the entertainment industry, or honest, anybody who has a bad coworker, that you know that moment, or family member when you're walking away and they say something that's complete and total bullshit, and you're like, oh, like I was almost out. Like you become what is it, like you become Al Pacino in Carlito's Way. When I thought I was out, you pull me back in. Like, just when I thought I was out of this conversation, you pulled me back in. Like, his face, like, mother. Especially when you know you can't do anything about it, and you have to swallow all that rage. You have to swallow it and turn around and pretend to be nice. I really enjoyed that. I could relate. Let's just say I could relate. Next, like I already talked about this particular scene, but I'll mention it again. The conversation between Stormfront and A-Train, the subliminal messages, the undertones, the things being said without being explicitly said. I really enjoyed that conversation. Like I said, to me, it was the best acted scene in this episode. And I also like that they're kind of, when they introduce this other character that we have no idea who he is, but now we're starting to learn that Stormfront may have deeper plans. There might be more to her than meets the eye, and apparently she has accomplices, or we don't understand what's happening. And now, again, it's becoming a little bit more of a mystery. So the story is getting a little bit crazier, and that's interesting stuff. It's always interesting to have a mystery. Honestly, it all depends on where the mystery leads to. Anyway, moving on to the bad. So the memes. The memes are still terrible. Like, the worst. They're the worst. And I honestly, there's no excuse for this. Like, go on fucking Reddit, go on 4chan, go on 9gag, and you'll find better memes than these. Like, easily. They could have just copy pasted that. They could have just stolen the idea, and they didn't. So this is embarrassing. The memes are embarrassing. Amazon, you need to do better immediately. Like, this is just sad. It's really sad. Anyway, I also did not like, again, I mentioned it was very anticlimactic, but it was the way that Billy Butcher and Black Noir finished the encounter there with Mr. Edgar. It's like, hey, I have pictures of this, and don't kill us. And he's like, all right, fine, we won't kill you if you don't release these pictures. And then they just leave. It's like, seriously? Like, nope, no, you didn't ask for any type of proof. You didn't ask for, like, any type of guarantees. You didn't do anything. Like, nothing. Like, honestly, at least take his fucking dog. Like, it's like, all right, fine. I'm going to take your fucking dog. Give me evidence that you've deleted everything, and I'll release your dog. Or take one of them. I don't fucking know. But they gave up too quickly. Like, Mr. Edgar just gave up too quickly. Like, I guess you could be like, all right, maybe he's all right. I won't risk it. I will be honorable. Maybe if he's cool with us, I'll be cool with him. But he's got you by the balls now. All right, because it's not like he's going to delete the pictures. Billy Butcher can just keep the pictures and do whatever he wants with them. He can load them immediately. So he can load them while he's laughing at you because you're like, ha 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 ha. You don't know. Well, first off, Billy Butcher doesn't have any pictures. He was bluffing, but you don't know that, and you already caved. So that whole resolution was stupid. I like the reveal, and the reveal is that basically Mr. Edgar is following his Terminator, has his own personal Terminator, which is fun. But he gave up too quickly. And for villains in general, don't do that. They don't cave that quickly. Unless there's something more that I'm missing here, that was just dumb. And it really annoys me. I hate quick resolutions like that. They should have done a little bit better. Again, take his fucking dog. Like, just take his dog. It's not the best thing. I probably would have taken the dog and the ant, maybe, so you actually have like a couple hostages. But come on, that was just way too easy, and I'm not a fan of easy resolutions. I'm just not. Anyway, unless I could be wrong. I could be eating my words later on, and they might actually have a reason for this. Off the top of my head, if I have to think about it, is because maybe Mr. Edgar is secretly trying to get rid of Homelander, and so he's kind of on Bill Butcher's team. But if he's kind of on Bill Butcher's team, then why would he want to kill him in the first place? So I don't know. We'll see. To me, it just seemed like BS. Anyway, the final thing that I didn't like is the conversation between Stormfront and Starlight made no fucking sense. Like, Stormfront basically told her, like, I know that you released the Compound V, you dumb bitch. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Stormfront the person that had been complaining about Vought endlessly? Like, every single other episode. Every other episode, she was complaining about Vought, complaining about Vought. And then somebody does something that really screws over Vought, and she's, upset about it? Because the other person's a traitor? So the issues that she was openly criticizing Vought, but because somebody else sabotaged them in secret, she's upset. I don't understand this plot line. Like, I don't understand it at all. Unless, again, she's been working, like, this is all, her protesting has been a part of Vought's plan from the beginning, but I don't understand how it could be, because it's probably affecting their sales and stuff, and the bottom line, I don't know, I'm very confused. Like, I need to understand way more about this, because right now I'm just like, how does that make any fucking sense? Like, you were campaigning, you were actively in a fucking rally, and in a protesting the company, and she actually did something that kicked the company in the nads, and now you're mad at her for kicking the company in the nads. I don't get it. I don't get it. So either, again, she is in deep for Vought, and we just don't know what her end game is yet, or this is just a massive plot hole and makes no fucking sense. But I don't know. Let's just say it bugs me. Things like these bug me. But anyway, that's it for the bad. Let's move on to The Boys. So, in The Boys, let's talk a little bit about our new favorite character, our new favorite hateable villain, Stormfront. Now, for those of you who don't know, Stormfront is actually very different in the comic books. And if that's shocking to you, it was shocking to me. So that's why I'm sharing this fun fact. Stormfront, this is how she looks in the comic books. Boom. She is actually a man. Stormfront actually kind of looks like Shazam. And I mean a lot like Shazam. Imagine kind of if Shazam wore Magneto's colors, like purple and red, and that's kind of what she looks like. For those of you who are just listening to the podcast. So this was a complete and total gender bender, and it's great. It's probably one of the greatest gender benders out there, because it completely changes. It opens up for a lot more opportunities to play around with the character, but they kept the things that made this character hateable within it. So that's great. That's something I'm kind of a purist for a lot of things. So to me, I'm like, don't change stuff unless you're going to make it better. Here's a perfect situation of how one change could make things so much better. Like, the interactions with the male Stormfront and Homelander are completely different from the fucked up interactions with the female Sneaky Stormfront and Homelander. It opened things up a whole lot more. Honestly, it was a great decision. The girl has done a great job because she's so fucking hateable. That stupid smile, like, I'm not doing anything. What are you gonna do about it? Has been great. So that's an excellent decision. This decision is comparable only to the other gender bender that they had in this show, and that is Madeline Stillwell. So Madeline Stillwell in the show is actually James Stillwell, a male. So, the girl who Homelander has this mommy complex over, and on the previous episode, he was still kind of like hooking up with Doppelganger, who was pretending to be her even though she's dead, and he keeps drinking her breast milk and stuff like that. She was actually a male. And apparently this dude was like cold and calculating. And I believe in the comics, he may or may not still be alive. I don't know. I think he's still alive. But with making that character female completely changed things up, completely opened things up. And it made Homelander way more fucked up in the head in a creepy way. Not just like diabolical way, but in a very creepy way, and kind of like in a pathetic way. So it was great. The two gender benders that I've discovered so far on the show have been great. And the best part here is that once you think about Stormfront as a male, like this scene, the one where they're having sex, gets even weirder, right? It's like, that's really fucked up. It was fucked up before, but it's really fucked up now. Like, Dario, why the fuck you mentioned that? Because if it's my head, it's in your head now. So there you go. That's it for today. I believe that's it for the good, the bad, and the boys. I'll leave it on a high note. Always leaving one and more. But that's it for today. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram and at Super Dario World. Live streaming almost every day. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do one tomorrow. I gotta go to Mexico, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be able to sneak one in. If you want to join me on the live stream, it'll probably be a little bit early on Twitch at Super Dario World and on YouTube at Super Dario World. Like, subscribe, all that stuff really helps me out. As always, thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time.